This video is about me reflecting on the last 15 years or so of working out, and I really wanted to extract some of the lessons that I've learned over this period to show you what could be some of the stumbling blocks, and also just to give you an example of what a typical, or at least my, evolution looked like. The earliest thing I can remember is when we had a relative stay over for a few weeks, and when he left me his weights, and that's really what started it for me. I used to use them quite often, and it was around the time where, puberty, and I'm interested in this kind of thing. I definitely wasn't consistent. I wasn't taking this seriously, and at that age as well, you're probably way too healthy to ever think that like working out is something I need to do. But what really is the learning point of that first period is that as a beginner, it is incredibly easy to produce change in how you look. Your body is not used to you working out, and it's in shock, and therefore the kind of like stimulus it sends that we need to recover and change and grow or lose fat is very, very fast. So really, as a beginner and someone who doesn't work out, the hardest thing you're going to have to do is start, because you might have so much momentum around, hey, this thing is new, I don't know much about it, and because you've never done it before, like the barrier of entry is so high. And I hope what you're gathering from this reflection is that you're going to see results very, very fast for not a lot of effort, because it's going to be something totally new for your body. The second period is when I would cycle back from work, my commute. And I remember I used to cycle past this park, Berkeley Park, and I would see this kind of group of people. It's called Regiment Fitness because they had it written on their van, who would train outside. And the whole premise is that there's like an ex-military guy with them, and he's kind of giving them these hardcore, body weight workouts. They were carrying logs, jerry cans, running around, jumping, going crazy. And I thought I'd sign up because it was free for the first session. When I went there, I realized that actually on the day I went, I was the only guy. So it was me and 30 ladies or so. And, I was around that age where, it was a little bit embarrassing being around the opposite sex, but I give it my all. And I was so out of shape that throughout the whole session, I'm literally like breathing like crazy, like like the whole hour we're there. So picture a nice tranquil park, birds are chirping, sun is shining, there's some trees, and all you can hear is me going like, I mean, obviously the only thing that the trainer could do was kind of make some jokes about me sounding like I'm having sex, to try and break the ice. And I was aware that it was a little bit embarrassing, but I remember thinking, I'm here first and foremost for myself and for me to be better. So I really don't care about other people. Which, I mean, I don't know how old I was at the time, but that was a really quite a step up and quite a mature behavior, which I have yet to experience since then. And then eventually a friend of mine joined, and it was just even better. I remember on Halloween, there was a session, so everyone went. And on that Halloween, probably my peers or people of my age group would be, going parties, getting drunk, this kind of thing. But me and Peter, we were dressed as a pirate and a ninja, respectfully, and we're running around in circles, in the rain, in the mud, carrying a big log between us. And it's so bizarre, but to say this, and I hope you also think that it's kind of weird, because it felt so good. And the learning point of that experience for me is that how important really exercise is to our mood. Like, it's probably the happiest, the most energetic I've felt. And it was all because we're out there outside, breathing fresh air, moving like crazy, and also having the sense of companionship between us. We're all doing this together. This next period, I moved abroad and lived on my own in Bulgaria in a caravan on the beach, which was really great. We went there because my mom was setting up business there, renting caravans on the beach, and so I was kind of like the man on the ground. And there I was in a total new environment. There was no gym nearby. But luckily for me, just before going there, or some time before that, I started experimenting and learning about bodyweight exercises. And actually, I completed my first 10-week program, bodyweight. So what this did is it armed me with the tools and like the mindset to make a gym out of whatever I had available. I remember I was doing pull-ups on kind of stronger tree branches, lifting up rocks, running along the beach. The main takeaway is you're not always going to have access to the gym. So if you're going to take exercise seriously and you're going to commit to it, then it's very important that you learn the skills of how the body works, so that no matter where you are, you always have access to this mental gym. You can make a gym out of wherever you are. Okay, so this next period, I'm back in England, and I had a job as a tech runner. So I worked for a VFX house that made movies, and my kind of job was to it had about 1,000 people, and these 1,000 people were constantly changing where they're sitting, depending on what project they're working on. So my job was to move the people's computers and monitors and keyboards and mice around the free kind of sites that we had in London. 4 to 5 times a week after work, I would go to the gym. But it was very easy going to the gym. And I think that is due, and here's the learning lesson, I think that is due to the fact that I did it so regularly. Like, it was part of my schedule. I don't remember going on the weekends, but I remember Monday to Friday, it was like a very common thing. And so it just became like a part of my habit. I wasn't thinking, after work, I'm going to the gym. That's what I do. And because you go work 5 times a week, it just really fits nicely into that rhythm that you have. After the tech runner job, I went to uni and I instantly signed up for the gym there. It was very exciting. I also did a 13-week program. It was based on size and so getting bigger, but also getting stronger. So it was 4 days a week for the first 10 weeks, and the last 3 weeks was 5 days a week. But because there was kind of like some societies I wanted to attend to in the evening, and also the gym was quite packed in the evening, I did something I never did before, and I would wake up at 5:45 and be at the gym at around 6:15. So I would cycle there. Once the program was over, though, I had difficulty motivating myself to do this thing. Actually, I remember on the very last day of the program, where throughout the program you're kind of measuring your progress. You're measuring what is the heaviest that you can lift, because it was based on strength, increasing your strength. And to do that, you would every like couple of weeks or something, you would do like a measuring day where you would push yourself to the max. And on the very last day of the program, where you're finally doing the final measurement, so that you can say, oh, 13 weeks, was it worth it or not? The day before, being a student, obviously I had a little bit to drink. And so I was quite hungover, and I was happy with my scores, but I remember feeling to myself like, hey, this is not as energetic as I normally am. And, waking up so early, at the time anyway, it wasn't kind of sustainable for me, at least with the lifestyle that I wanted to live. Partying, woo, students. So I tried then going to the gym in the afternoons, but it was just, because it was like kind of a bigger gym, it was more popular, there was more people going, and it didn't kind of chill me out in the same small town gym vibes. It was people taking up the machines, they're not even working out, they're texting. There was kind of really sad Justin Bieber playing at some point, and I'm trying to like do a personal best doing deadlift. So that was not helping. And so I wasn't enjoying it as much because it was so busy. Sometimes you'd have to wait outside because they're at capacity. Someone has to leave before you can come in. And it felt like kind of go into a cubicle and being in a cubicle a little bit. Exactly the flip side of the gym experience was when we started Street Fitness Society, which was basically born out of 3 of us who were too lazy to go to the gym at the time. So we just kind of went to a nearby park and we did what was available to us. Like we used each other's bodies as weights, we climbed trees, did push-ups, squats and stuff like this. And then eventually this evolved into a full-time like society at my uni, which we made. The uni built a pull-up park on site. So that really blew up really fast. You're outside, you're in the fresh air. Remember like how I really enjoyed Regiment Fitness? It was like that. There wasn't kind of like this rush of the gym, and I feel that people there were, maybe because of the space, were a lot more friendly to each other. There was a lot more camaraderie. I feel that at the gym sometimes there was this thing called ego lifting, where kind of you're lifting heavy to impress other people, not because you can do it safely. And at Street Fitness Society, or outside workouts in general, it's a lot more cooperative. Like you're talking to each other. Hey, what can you do? Hey, I can do this, I can do that. Oh, I'm trying to do that. How did you learn it? Oh, this is what I did. So there, the workouts also kind of scratch the social itch, which is a very important thing. We're social creatures. One thing I wish I did different was to take it a little bit more seriously, because although, we did regular meetings and stuff like this, I see now that there was a really big kind of demand about it. And it could have really blown up, perhaps if I promoted it more on social media and stuff. So the takeaway is that if there isn't a community around what you're doing already, build one, because that's really going to serve you and encourage you to keep going. The next stage in my fitness journey is when I moved to Singapore for a year. During my 3rd year of university, we did kind of like an internship year. And it was very exciting. At one point, I went to like 3 different clubs. So there was Dragon Boating Club, there was Parkour Club, parkour, and there was also Tricking Club, which is kind of like gymnastics. And then on top of that, I also skateboarded, and I did my regular bodyweight workouts. Actually, there was a pull-up park 30 seconds from my front door. It was a blessing. Like, I would walk to it barefoot, and I was in very good shape at the time. I was stimulating my body in all these different and new ways, so it was keeping it guessing. And on top of that, sometimes I worked in the lighting department, and so there was a lot of heavy stuff to move. That was a good time. The climate was also very supportive. So in Singapore, it's on the equator, so the weather, the temperature is 25 to 35 degrees, like all year, all day. And what this meant is that, there was never kind of like, when you go to the pull-up park, you're already warm. Like you don't need to warm up so much before you can start exercising. And what was really interesting is, because of that, the kind of older generations, they were also outside all the time. And I remember walking past groups and they're all kind of doing sport together. And whereas, like in Bulgaria, when it's winter, the old people, they don't go out. But there, because the weather permits, you can stay active year round. And on top of that, there was fitness corners very, very frequently. I wouldn't say every street, but every neighborhood had one. And when you're there was many older people working out. I remember there was one guy who would like punch trees, and then kind of do a lap around the fitness park. Yeah, and again, you're meeting people, you're talking, you're having a good time. It almost as if the government realized that it's much cheaper to give people the convenience to be able to look after their own health rather than treating them when they're poorly because they haven't moved in days, weeks, or years. Then I moved back to England to finish up my last year of studies, and it was COVID, yay. But actually, I had, and the lockdown, but actually I had a very good rhythm there. I would wake up early, do some, me stuff like meditation, yoga, then start studying for the day. At lunch, I would go to this nearby field, which was like on our campus, and do a workout there outside in the sun, and then go back home, which was again like 1-2 minutes away. Have lunch and then, keep studying to the evening. Not too late, have a kind of video game time in the evening as well to like detox a little bit. And this was just a very good rhythm. It worked for me. I got it right. So I kind of balanced out the sitting and studying in front of a computer with having enough movement in my day, in my week, for it to be sustainable. So the takeaway there is that your workouts are more of a marathon than a sprint. Think what is the perfect schedule for yourself. You have to plan this in advance. And when is the time when you're going to fit those workouts in? When you can plan around your ideal day, when you have that set, you've given yourself, a schedule to follow so that you don't miss it. And also you're thinking, hey, what is like the timetable I have with, my commitments, my job, my studying. And this is a long-term thing. So therefore, where are the times when I can work out? Right after COVID, I moved to Berlin, which is where I am now. There was a film project, and I went there to help shoot it. But like with the quarantines of like traveling and also COVID, and then hotel rooms, long hours at the start of this project, I really kind of lost my mojo, and also new environment. I really kind of lost my mojo and lost my rhythm when it comes to working out. I know how good it feels, and actually this video has really helped me write that in stone in my psyche. But I had forgotten, and therefore, my stress went up and my mood went down. A turning point was when one of my colleagues, he kind of bought this home gym thing. It was like a dip station with a little pull-up bar, and he brought it to the office. And so it was actually right next to my desk, and people would see it and they'd kind of be excited about it, and we do little like quick workouts here and there. And that reminded me of how good it felt. Real world now, this kid's no longer living at home. He's going to work. Sometimes the hours are long. The takeaway is that it's non-negotiable for me to move. And I think there's not one person who it's even negotiable for them to move. And it's going to depend a lot on what kind of job you have. People who are more active in their jobs, they could probably get away with more. So for me, where most of my jobs have been at a desk, if I skip working out, I'm in trouble. I moved to Germany and Berlin officially now, so before it was only temporary. And I started a new job. And I would cycle to the office, which was about 10 kilometers. And then I would cycle back, so 20 a day. And during my lunch break is when I would go to the fitness park, because there was one about 2 to 3 minutes away from the office, which was, again, a blessing. And it was a really nice one too. And then after work, I would go to a German class. So the picture I'm trying to paint is that my schedule was very busy. And I thought I was actually doing myself a favor by skipping lunch and doing these workouts. In hindsight, I think I would have preferred to have lunch, because I was starting a new company and a new life in a new country with new people. And I would skip the lunches where was really the best opportunity for me to bond with the team, bond with the different characters there, which therefore kind of made, being at work not so nice, because we didn't have such a good relationship, because we didn't know each other so well, because the only time that we're kind of free, I'm not there, I'm outside doing these workouts. So then what should I do? Should I skip the German lesson? That's obviously important. I'm in a new country. And there was really no time on either end of the timeline for me to fit anything in. The only way forward from the situation, I think, would have been to have just smaller workouts in the day that I could fit. Perhaps 10 minutes in the morning. It needed to be something that would elevate my heart rate beyond normal. That's when it goes from just moving to like the exercise territory, where I get the benefits of like, I'm starting to feel good. I'm starting like all these hormones are releasing, and I start to feel strong and good about myself. The period that followed was also very challenging. I became a full-time content creator. And I don't know if you've noticed, but until this point, the kind of years of my life where I've been happiest, my job had regular movement in it. And as a content creator, you're kind of sitting in front of a desk all day, not outside. And additionally, the pressure of, being responsible myself for where the money is going to come from, really kind of made it so that I prioritized work over myself regularly. And I was not very good at working out. I got myself a stand-up desk, but it doesn't really help significantly. And throughout that period, I was stressed and depressed, and I felt aged, and definitely the workouts, the lack of workouts, did not help. The lesson there that I have is more philosophical. There's going to be obstacles in the way of us being regular at working out. And sometimes those obstacles are going to be finding the right time, finding the right energy and motivation, but sometimes they're going to be like mindset based. So why should I work out when there's so much to do? Do I deserve to feel good? Do I have the time? Why do I need regular physical activity to sustain my efforts to make my lifestyle sustainable? And to see movement no longer as a luxury, but as a necessity. I'm glad to say that I'm doing much better. The penultimate thing I did last year was create my very own workout course, which is designed with everything I've learned. So it's aimed at busy people who don't have the time and don't know how to exercise. And the actual beginning of the course, the first 3 weeks are free. So I encourage you to give it a try. It starts off really slowly. So it's designed to have a very small barrier of entry. And as the workouts kind of get longer, the frequency of them decreases so that it's easier to fit those workouts, the longer workouts, day to day. I'm also there doing the workouts with you, so we're both pushing ourselves, and the idea behind this is to kind of develop some of this camaraderie behind it, where we're encouraging each other by giving it our all. It's all bodyweight stuff, so you don't need a gym membership, you don't need to travel anywhere, you don't need to buy anything. It's all stuff that you have readily available, and therefore the convenience element as well is incredibly high because you can just start. And throughout the course, I'm constantly feeding this idea that we are at our best when we have addressed these human requirements, when we've moved, because that's how we're designed as human beings. There's so many mechanisms in our body that reward movement. And last but not least, it's centered around sustainability. I mentioned that, how it's easier to manage into our schedules as the workouts get longer. So I'm going to send a few links here and there in the description, maybe in the comments, so you can access that course really fast. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a nice day.